So let's get right into it. This is the let's begin. This is the book of Ezra, right? Revelation of Ezra. Now, Ezra to me is probably one of the most accurate. It's probably the most accurate prophet in the Bible, in the Holy Bible. And you said, why am I bringing that up now? Well, I was watching a report from some psychics, a group of psychics. They run a couple programs. One of them is a crypto viewing program that they run on YouTube. And Dick Algier, Daz Smith, they used to be hooked up with Courtney Brown and Farsight, stuff like that. But anyway, long story. I don't want to make this too long, but they just did a project. Let me pull that up. They just did a project on the Phoenix Lights. So if you don't know what the Phoenix Lights was, in 1997, there was a huge UFO that flew over the city of Phoenix, right, where everybody saw it, the governor, everybody. So they decided to remote view that event to see what information they could ascertain. And they just released it, so I was watching it, but something fascinating came up that made me think about the book of Ezra, which is probably the revelation and prophecies of Ezra are probably some of my favorite prophecies from the Bible. So let's take a look at that. So here in the book of Ezra, right, he talks about the Antichrist, and so I just want to kind of go over what I found interesting about the connection between the psychics and what they saw in the UFO and what's written in the book of Ezra 2,000 years ago. I think it's very relevant, right? And so let's take a look real quick. So here, Ezra the prophet says that he was taken in a dream, right? And he said, let me get this. So he said he was taken in a dream, and in the dream he says, here I have it highlighted, they took me away to the north, and I saw there a man. He was bound in iron chains, and I asked the angel Michael and the Lord in the dream, who is this? And he said to me, this is he who said, I am the Son of God, that made stones bread and water wine. Right? Well, we know that's that's white Jesus, right? That's Christianity, the Catholics, the Mormons, etc., the Baptists. And he said to me, Lord, let me know what is his form, and I shall tell the race of men that they may not believe in him. And he said to me, the form of his countenance is like that of a wild beast. His right eye is like the star that rises in the morning, and the other without motion. His mouth 1 cubit. His teeth span long. His fingers like scythes. Scythes are knives, so he had hands like claws, claw-like, hands. The track of his feet 2 spans. He was tall. He was huge. And in his face an inscription, Antichrist. Right? Now, why am I bringing that up in connection with the report from the psychics from the Phoenix Lights events of 1997? Well, I'm going to play a clip from that real quick, and because because what's important here is that what Ezra was describing was a shapeshifter, right? He says, oops, go back, oops. Here he says, my Lord, let me know what is his form, and I shall tell the race of men. So he saw a man bound in chains with an inscription burned in his forehead that was written Antichrist. But then he asked, my Lord, let me know what is his true form, so I shall tell the race of men. Why would he ask that when he was looking at a man? Right? Think about it. Why would he ask? He showed him a man with something burned in his head, chained up, and then which was the whole white Jesus, the Jesus thing, you know. So he showed him that, and this man, this, you know, Keanu Reeves with his hair slicked back, where Antichrist burned across his forehead, chained up, right? Like they're all gonna be chained up soon, and in his forehead was written a word, burned in the, you know, Antichrist. But he said, what is his true form? Well, you're looking at it, right? No, see, Ezra in the dream knew that, and the Lord was leading him in his prophecy to tell. He was trying to tell you something that was going to be needed to, that you were going to need it to, that you were going to need to know in the future. Okay. And what is that? That everything's not what it seems, right? That he was saying that this was looked like a man, but it wasn't a man. It was a shapeshifter, right? That some of these beings, that the Antichrist will look like a human, right? But it's not a human. It's really a humanoid creature, you know, along the lines of some type of reptilian or something, right? And who had the ability to make themselves look human. That's why he said, my Lord, right? Darn it, hit it again. My Lord, right? He said, let me know his form, and I shall tell the race of men. So he's telling the race of men, and I'm telling you the same thing that he told you 2,000 years ago in the book of Ezra, right? So that you may not believe in him, right? And so he described the claw-like hands, right? It said he has been exalted to heaven. He shall go to hell. At one time a child, another old man, right? And so Ezra went on to say, Lord, and how do you permit him that he deceives the race of men, right? Notice what he kept saying, race of men, right? Even then he was saying race, right? But people were saying there's no such thing. You know, we're all the human race. We're not all human race. There's a race of men, and then there's people that are not, right? Then there are the people that are hybrid, part men, part human, and part something else. You see? Maybe they burn in the sun, right? And he said, the race of men, and he said, God said, listen, my prophet, he's child and old man, baby Jesus, and then he becomes the old man who was nailed to the cross. But no one believes in him, right? There was a story on the news the other day, right? He said, but no one believes in him. And there was a story on the news the other day about nobody, you know, the people don't believe in, you know, the Bible anymore. Let me pull it up real quick. So, like in this story right here, this is what I mean. So, ex-Christian America, how social media created more non-verts and atheists, right? So that goes back to, you know, and it's more stories like that, to what he says, where, and they're talking about like Christianity and things like that, right? Where he says, no one shall believe in him. No one believes in the whole, you know, they don't really believe any of that stuff anymore. They don't believe in the prophecies, right? They don't believe in the law, 613 laws in the Bible, and the prophecies and things like that, right? And you say, well, how do we know that's true? Well, Barack Obama passed gay marriage, and the Bible is against homosexuality. You know what I mean? We see articles like this, things like that, right? And there's more to that, but I'm not going to get too far into that. This is not what that's about. But I just wanted to touch on that. It was relevant. And so anyway, so he goes on. I'm going to read a little bit more of that prophecy. Then I want to go over to what the psychics said, what they found, right, about the 1997 Phoenix Light issue. UFO report. So, but I want to read a little bit more of Ezra real quick. So, I'm going to finish this off a little bit about Ezra, the prophecy. So he says, he was exalted to heaven, but he shall go to hell, right? Now, here it says, so here it says, listen, my prophet, he shall be, he says, after a trumpet, the tomb shall be opened and the dead shall be raised incorruptible. You see? There's certain people that are going to be on the earth that are incorruptible. Right? They're immune, right? Like the girl from The Last of Us. They're now become immune to the Antichrist. You see? They're incorruptible. And the adversary, hearing the dreadful threatening, shall hide in outer darkness. What does that mean? The Space Force, they go out of darkness, they're hiding in space, they want to go to the moon, they want to go to Mars, they want to open bases up, right? That's this part of the prophecy. See, he was right, he was correct. He said, the adversary, hearing a dreadful threatening, shall hide in outer space. They want to hide, they want a Space Force, they want to fight against the Most High and his emissary, right? The one that is referred to as the Messiah of the Judeans. You see? People say Jesus Christ. That's a title, that's not a name. But anyway. Right? He said, but then the heaven and the earth and the sea shall be destroyed, and I shall burn the heavens, and I shall burn the earth. And the prophet said, how is the earth, the heavens sin? And God said, there is evil in the heavens. You see, there's evil in the heavens. What does he mean? He's talking about the 1997 Phoenix Lights, the UFOs, the Tic Tac UFO that the Navy saw. He's talking about the 1997 Phoenix Lights, and I'm about to show you that that's true. That this 2,000-year-old prophecy is a fucking fact. It's not a joke. It's not a game. It's not wrong. It's not hocus pocus. You see. This is the shit they don't teach you, and that's why they work for the Antichrist, and they turn you into a devil and into a wicked person by not making it make sense. So then you can't make sense of it, so you say, well, this is bullshit, right? Well, I'm making it make sense. I'm sure I'm connecting the dots for you, right? I'm doing your work, your research for you. You're welcome, America, right? So he said, he said there is evil there. Spaceships, something evil is in the Phoenix Lights in that ship, and I'm about to show you what it is. It's the Antichrist keeping an eye on his plantation. That's all that is, right? Flexing his power and flexing, his power on his slaves, right? And his henchmen, Joe Biden and NATO. And all the rest of these are the henchmen of the Antichrist, right? These forces and agencies, these are the henchmen of the Antichrist. These are his muscle, right? His foot soldiers. You see? So he's just flying over in that big ass ship, right? Flexing his muscle. They know who that is. Because if they didn't, they would have shot it down. They shoot at everything else, balloons and every fucking thing else. But this fucking ship the size of 2 football fields flies over Phoenix, and you don't shoot at it. When somebody asks you, you say, I didn't see anything. You didn't see anything. That shit was the size of 2 football fields. Fuck you mean you didn't see anything? Oh, we didn't see anything. So you say you spending billions of dollars of taxpayers' money, and some motherfucker flies a huge ship the size of goddamn 3 football fields or something over a city, and y'all didn't see anything. You should give people their money back. You people are full of shit. You should give them their money back if you didn't see anything. What do you mean you didn't see anything? No, you saw it and you knew who was in it, so you looked the other way, right? Maybe you saluted as that motherfucker flew over, because that's your king, the Antichrist. So you say, well, I didn't see anything. We can't shoot at that. I know you can't. You can't shoot at the boss, right? You can't shoot at your master. Anyway, so he said, and Lord, how is the earth sin? See, he's going to destroy. In the prophecy, he goes on to say that he's going to destroy the whole fucking earth. He's going to turn Baltimore City to rubble. He's going to turn Washington, D.C. to rubble and dust. He's going to turn Denver to rubble and dust. He's going to turn Seattle and Los Angeles and Dallas, Texas to rubble and fucking dust. He's going to turn Mount Rushmore to rubble and dust, right? And all your underground bases where you experiment or kidnap people and animals and all kinds of fucked up shit and dinosaurs. He's gonna turn all that shit into holes in the ground. Right? He's gonna knock those spaceships out of the sky and turn that shit into burning heaps of rubble. Right? That's why he said in his prophecy, how has the earth sinned? And he said, the adversary, hearing a dreadful threatening, shall be hidden in the earth in his underground bases. And right? And on account of this, I will melt the entire earth, and with it, the opponent of the race of men. You see? The opponent of the race of men. Who is the opponent of the race of men? The opponent of the race of men, which is not a man, right? He would say, how can you be an opponent of the race of men and be a man? So the opponent of men, of the race of men, is something that's a non-race of man, right? I know that's not correct grammatically, but you know what I mean. It's a non-human. You see, the Antichrist. He just told you that, right? He just told you that. This is the shit that your pastor, T.D. Jakes and Creflo Dollar refuse to tell you, because there's a lot more that they don't want to get into. Because they work for the Antichrist. You see? When somebody don't tell you the truth, they work for the Antichrist. Because he is the father of lies. That's written in the Bible. He's a murderer and the father of lies. Right? And there's no truth in him. So anyway. So he says, and then so Ezra, after he told him all this and showed him this in a dream, he said, Lord, have mercy on the race of the Christian. See, Christians are a race of people. Christian is not a religion. It's a race of people. It's a bloodline. It tells you in the book of Revelations, it's 12 bloodlines that still exist on earth that can be traced through DNA. Right? And it's millions and millions of people, right? It also says that in the prophecy all over the earth, and they're not in the state of Israel. They will not be found in Israel. Now that's the prophecy. That's not me making this up. If you read the books, that's just what it says. They're not generally in the state of Israel. There are no people from that bloodline really in the state of Israel, unless they just happen to be there now. But it's not those people that claim to be, whatever. You see? And so let me get into. I'm gonna play. I just wanted to give some background on this prophecy before I play this, right? Because it's fascinating, right? And he says I'm gonna melt the whole earth, and the opponent and the Antichrist. So he called the Antichrist the opponent of the race of men. He's talking about aliens, right? And so, let me see. Is there anything else on that I wanted to say? He said, there I saw many judgments, and I wept bitterly. And he said, he said, it's good for a man not to have come out of his mother's womb. You see? He said, he took me to heaven, and I looked upon the whole earth, and I saw the earth burning with fire and destruction from North Pole to South Pole. And he said, I wept bitterly. Why did he weep bitterly? Because he saw that was his bloodline of people, a lot of them, and they were going to be put to death as well. When he said, have mercy on the race of the Christians. See, most of my family is going to die soon. Most of the people, if you listen to this, your family, depending on what you are, you're going to die soon maybe. And your family, y'all going to die. And that's what he was talking about. He said, I wept bitterly for these people. He's for something that he saw coming hundreds of years down the road. That's how horrifying it was. Because I guess he wanted to save them and he couldn't save them. You see, he said, Lord, have mercy on them. Right? Please. Say, don't destroy all of them. And he said, no, Ezra, I'm going to kill them all. Right? For what? Well, read the Bible and you'll see. But that's what he showed them. right? I'm going to kill everybody who crossed me, right? Everybody who side with the Antichrist. So he showed them from heaven the whole earth being destroyed and all these people being wiped out. You're not going to be able to save anybody. You'll be lucky if you can save yourself, right? This prophecy is a true prophecy, right? But he wipes out the whole, damn near the whole planet. And it says it in the Bible. It goes on in the, what is it, the New Testament, to say 2/3 shall be destroyed. So that confirms what Ezra wrote. It even gets more specific as time goes on. It goes from Ezra saying what he said to them saying 2/3 of these people are going to die on the earth. Well, there's 7 billion people on the planet. That means when he's finished, it's only going to be maybe, I don't know what. I don't know, my math is bad, but what is that, 2 billion? Maybe? That are preserved? That make it through what Ezra describes in this war against the Antichrist and his minions, right? Anyway, so, and what does that, but he tells you really, he also is telling you that the Space Force is going to be destroyed. NATO is going to be destroyed. Nobody can stand against this. The prophecy already tells you. He wrote the end in the beginning. They lost already. The Space Force is lost. America is lost. NATO is lost. You can fight, but resistance is futile. Right? He's already telling you that. Y'all gonna lose. They're gonna overpower the whole planet. Right? And the spaceships that are flying over. Right? You know what I mean? These alien overlords that run the planet, right? That rule over NATO and rule over Joe Biden and the United States and the Pentagon, the pentagram, right? And that rule over the so-called Israelis, right? They're gonna knock those ships out of the fucking sky, right over your cities, right? So let me finish this up though. So yeah, so that's the prophecy, right? That's the end game, right? Laid out. So anyway, so let's get to the part I want to get to, right? Let's get to the so we went over Ezra. Now let's show you let's get some confirmation using these psychics real quick.
Not really an artist. This is challenging to draw on the spot what I just see for a flash. I get a definite male energy. Feels male, but very handsome, a very pretty man, like a Swedish actor. Kind of looks like Julian Assange. This has nothing to do with Julian Assange or WikiLeaks, but has that kind of look, like smooth, perfect skin. I get a real masculine, manly feel, but not like doesn't need a shave, like smooth skin, masculine but handsome to the point of being pretty, but not at all effeminate. Hair is kind of swept back and long, light brown, blondish hair. Clothes are comfortable, very fine fabric, really nice fabric, not cashmere, but like cashmere, not silk, but like silk, may not even be from an animal source. The clothes are just finely made. Now, This is really weird, but this guy can look like this. And he's quite tall. Quite tall. Just a nice looking guy. Excuse me. I would say like beige color clothes. Very statuesque, very self-assured, very smart. I want to say almost godlike intelligence, knowledge of physics, mathematics, natural sciences, genetics. This guy would have 10 PhDs. Really, really smart. If you could, maybe I could, I'll try. There's something. I'm drawn to his eyes. When I look into his eyes, I see something else. And really friendly face, but looking in the eyes, okay, he can like morph, like change. And I'm going to draw that. Let's see if I can.
Remember what Esdras said, right? What is his true form? So they tell me his true form, so they shall not believe in him. Right? This is the same thing. The psychic is doing the same thing. Or should I say the remote viewer is doing the same thing as Ezra in the dream, but this is just awake. When you do remote viewing, think of it as a psychic dream being done while you're awake, right? Remember what he told Ezra. What
He
Ezra
looks
said.
like a cat. I want to draw ears like cat ears, but I don't think he's got cat ears. Because his eyes look so much like a cat. I want to draw whiskers, but I don't think there's whiskers. It's cat eyes. He can look like a cat man. He can change his appearance, I think. So, Mr. Catman, tell me something about your side. The stars on the velvet, the light doesn't come through the velvet. The earth isn't flat, okay? He's saying the earth isn't flat, when we know that, but they used to think the earth was flat. They were wrong. That was the science at the time. And the universe isn't three-dimensional, so if you thinking the universe is three-dimensional is like thinking the earth is flat. And he can illustrate this for me by saying the light doesn't reside on the velvet. If I took a piece of black cloth
as if obscured by a mist or something, an energy. No, distortion. Yeah, maybe some kind of energy distortion. Or light or something. But what's happening anyway is almost like I tell you what it's like it's shimmering. It's like you're looking at a candle or something and you change the shape, you see the shimmering at the light of it. It feels a bit like that around the edges of this structure. So it's quite hard to pin down the exact shape of it. Yeah, shimmering. Almost like it's moving alive. If I'm close to the target, if I'm close to the structured object now, and I'm almost becoming the structured object, I can feel the edges of it and they feel like they're shaking and moving slightly in and out, vibrating, but they're not. I can feel it underneath. It's just that it's giving this kind of energy, glow, mistiness around it that's causing this illusion. So it's very hard to determine its actual hard shape, or does it change shape even? It may even change shape, which is weird because, you know, at this point obviously I would have to AOL something like a UFO, and I don't think I've done a UFO target for Courtney yet, so I don't know if we do one. Very strange target. Anything else? Not that I'm aware of, but you know, we had this. You know, I don't want to. We have this linear type, shining, morphing structure here, and we have this life form here that seems to be interested in it. A main life form. It seems to be male. There may be others around. I'm not sure, but it seems to be. Having my focus is drawn to what looks like a male. And there are structures down here as well in the land. And this feels past. It feels like a past event. So I have this life form looking up, observing and interacting with a structure, and it seems to be rising, but at some point it came downwards. And that's when it was seen by the life. It was seen on a descend motion. And the life form feels male, feels like it's in the past. He feels small, skinny, athletic in stature. Feels like he has dark complexion, dark hair. Doesn't feel like a modern man. This does feel, you know, past. Feels, I don't want to say, it feels a little bit primitive in their thinking, their social structure, their life, and the way he's interacting with this as well. It feels like ancient man from the past or something. This kind of seen some kind of advanced structure or technology or something that's beyond their comprehension. And they're pointing at it, looking at it in awe. I can feel the wonderment of building this in this life. It's something that's going to affect. It's going to affect him for the rest of his life, isn't it?
So I'm going to stop that right there. So, but yeah. So in the report, I'm gonna wrap this up. I didn't want to make it too long, but in the report, it's about 2.5 hours long. You can watch it. It's on their site. I'll link it. But this part stood out to me when they started to describe, you know, the occupants of the craft, right? Just particularly since I know I've read Ezra, I've read the prophecies of Ezra, and you know the end time prophecies where he talks about the Antichrist, and so I started to connect the dots. It started to make sense, and so yeah, I decided to just do this piece. So, but anyway, I don't want to make this too long, so that's it for now.